Fox News's Shepard Smith has once again become the lone voice of reason amongst traditional right-wing media when it comes to yet another issue, in this case, Ebola. And there's no question, right, that Ebola is a scary disease with horrifying symptoms. But the reality is, to the average American, it poses very little, a very small threat, right? The individual likelihood of an individual American contracting Ebola is so low that you should really be more worried about crashing your car and dying as you drive home while listening to a report about Ebola than you should be about contracting Ebola. That being said, we don't want to conflate that issue with that of not caring about things like a Western African Ebola outbreak when it starts, and we identified it back on June 27th when we first covered it. These are two separate issues, and Shepard Smith was focused on that first issue, right? The issue of the panic and the hysteria over Americans contracting this disease and an outbreak in the U.S., which right now is absolutely not something that is likely to happen. Things could change, but as of right now, there is no evidence at all that that is going to happen. Shepard Smith single-handedly, in mere seconds, picking apart all of the hysteria. Check this out.
Together now. For the next few minutes, I'm going to give you the facts on Ebola. It'll take just 3 minutes. But first, today, given what we know, you should have no concerns about Ebola at all. None, I promise. Unless a medical professional has contacted you personally and told you of some sort of possible exposure, fear not. Do not listen to the hysterical voices on the radio and the television or read the fear-provoking words online. The people who say and write hysterical things are being very irresponsible. Here are the facts. A man contracted Ebola overseas. Tragically, he was dying in a Texas hospital. He was at his most contagious while showing the most severe symptoms. That's how Ebola works. But as we all now know, if you don't show symptoms, you are not contagious. She did not show symptoms, according to the doctors. You have to remember that in the middle of all of this, you have to remember that there is politics in the mix. With midterm elections coming, the party in charge needs to appear to be effectively leading. The party out of power needs to show that there is a lack of leadership. So the president has canceled a fundraising trip and is holding meetings, and his political opponents are accusing his administration of poor leadership. For the purpose of this fact dissemination exercise, those matters are immaterial.
Making very sober and reasonable points here. And on so many issues, Shepard Smith is not kind of towing the party line or the media line or the executive line. Remember when there were so many in right-wing media, including on Fox News, calling Staff Sergeant Bo Bergdahl a deserter, a traitor who need not be even rescued. Shepard Smith was the voice, Lewis, who said, hold on a second, those in the media don't decide who's a deserter and who's a traitor. That's something that is left to an actual formal proceeding within the military and the legal system. It was Shepard Smith who said, when we were looking at what was happening with ISIS and what was happening back in Iraq, who said, are we about to be drawn back into a conflict in Iraq? The same people who 12 years ago told us this would be quick, this will be inexpensive, this will be easy, are now telling us it's the right thing to do. Who's thought this through? Shepard Smith, Lewis, occasionally the true voice of reason on that channel.
Occasionally. It needs to happen more often. Perhaps it should have happened with Benghazi or a myriad of other topics. But I'm glad there's someone on Fox News who has their head on their shoulders.
And to reiterate this, we need to be clear in distinguishing the risk of you as an American contracting Ebola compared to why we should worry about health crises in other parts of the world regardless of whether they directly affect us. These are two different issues that we do not want to conflate. And I think that when you pull up Drudge Report and there's 35 stories as of 30 minutes ago, 35 stories on the front page about Ebola, there is fear-mongering, there is panic, and it's very ratings-driven, Lewis.
Of course, that's fear panic and hysteria is great for business, especially that type of business.